now we're going to get into our retro review. That November to remember, we're going to review the first 2 Thors.
Yeah. It's going to be a daunting task, but we could do it. We could do it. I wish somehow.
My man.
I wish somehow.
Talk about the trailer again.
I wish somehow we could include our notes or something, because people would be blown away. I can do more notes on a shitty wrestling pay-per-view than I did on Thor.
Both of them, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll do what we can. But first,
yes. But first, we're going to go into something a little more interesting than Thor movies. We're going to talk about the early reviews of Thor Ragnarok. So these are the early reactions of some of the people that have been able to see Thor Ragnarok before it's officially come out. And there seems to be a common theme to all this.
No.
And
I'm not surprised.
And I'm just going to kind of read... I'm a tad bit surprised that it's so unanimously the same fucking thing over and over again. Well, I thought there was going to be at least some people say this and then this, but let's just get into it. So, # Thor Ragnarok was an absolute blast, hysterical and seriously kick-ass. Also, at the director, I can't say his name, Tawaki Wadi, is a riot. Thor Ragnarok is just plain fun. It's hilarious from start to finish with quirky performances and exciting action.
You got to put more emphasis on fun.
Tessa Thompson is the MVP. I don't know who that is. I think that's the chick playing Valkyrie, maybe. I'm not quite sure. Love Thor Ragnarok. Did an awesome job. Movie is loaded with his trademark humor. Laughed beginning to end. Oh, the Tawaki Wadi director is his trademark humor. Thor Ragnarok has a few surprises I didn't know about. One of them is amazing and possibly the funniest in any Marvel movie.
I feel like that's a spoiler, you asshole. I'm assuming that's kind of what it seems like, but
there's just one funny part that they didn't know was going to happen. That's all.
Amazing, and the way that they put there's one surprise that is amazing, and the tweet has AMAZING.
Well, if it's really that big of a spoiler, then maybe tell me later, because I don't get it.
Still?
No.
Should I ruin it for everyone else? What I'm thinking? Spider-Man? Somehow that is incorporated into it? Just the way that the tweet was laid out. I'm pretty sure I can't seem to find that specific tweet, but when I read it, it was spelt out one of Thor Ragnarok has a few surprises I didn't know about. One of them is A-M-A-Z-I-N-G. So they spell out amazing with a bunch of hyphens in it as if they're spelling it out. I don't know. I just thought it was a spoiler.
You must have had your fucking Wheaties that morning. I didn't even think about it. I just thought it was just... because of the way these people are talking... I just assumed they're overdramatic drama queens. So
It's amazing.
Yeah, so they gotta make sure they emphasize amazing.
I can see that.
That's how I took it. Thor Ragnarok is hilarious and weird and offbeat and retro and sublime. Love how Marvel let Tawaki Wadi make a movie that was Wahadi-ish as hell. I don't know how to say. Jeff Goldblum is glorious.
I won't give in. That clip of us trying to fucking sing that song.
I think that was good enough right there. I don't want to break anybody's eardrum. It's glorious in Thor Ragnarok, but I didn't expect anything less. I mean, look at this man. So anyway, as you can see there's a lot of common themes that Thor Ragnarok is amazing and hilarious, constantly being brought up about how funny it is. I don't have an issue with necessarily wanting to make your movie funny. I don't care. If you want to make it funny, then go for it. But when your movie has the word Ragnarok in it, I looked up the definition of Ragnarok, the final destruction of the world in the conflict between the Aesir and the powers of hell led by Loki. It's also called the Twilight of Gods. It's okay, so you have such an extreme name as Thor Ragnarok, meaning the end of the world.
Right.
But the first thing that anybody talks about your movie is that it's hilarious.
Yep.
How is the end of the world hilarious That's what I don't get. I think they should have called it something else. It just doesn't. They want it. Marvel tends to use these names from these famous graphic novels or comic books to pad their titles,
right?
But it really has nothing to do with what's going on with that title, and it just turns into this. Fine. If Thor Ragnarok is funny, it's funny. But when it's called Thor Ragnarok, when I first heard that, I'm like, this is gonna be epic. It's gonna be awesome. And that's what I originally thought, because I was like, it's fucking called Ragnarok. Right. We're going to have some serious consequences for once in the Marvel Universe.
Were we wrong?
Sound like it.
I saw this funny thing. I don't remember where I saw this. It was probably on Instagram or something. But it was like, so the studio execs are sitting at a round table and they're talking about, well, the first two Thors weren't all that great. What can we do to make them better? And then someone slides the first two Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. Did you see that?
I've seen that.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much. It's gonna have bright colors. It's gonna be a lot of humor. Gonna be hilarious. And it sounds like exactly what they did. They've somehow changed their formula from a Marvel type movie with like I guess Marvel
an action movie
visuals.
With comedy.
Yeah,
to a comedy with action.
Yeah, there you go. Well put.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like this is going to be.
Yeah.
So if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. But I'm sorry to call your movie Ragnarok. Maybe that's a joke. Maybe that's the joke of it all. That it's fucking called Ragnarok, and like it really is.
And we're all in on it now.
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous name that didn't really mean much.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go in open-minded, but I was not surprised. Yeah, well, based on the trailers, I knew what to expect.
Yeah, but I thought that was just how Marvel was gonna kind of portray the movie to keep
market it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it looks like Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, cool. Guardians of the Galaxy is probably one of the most successful MCU properties.
Right.
So let's make it look like that. But we'll just kind of like it'll be a little bit different in tone when the movie gets actually slapped together.
I don't know.
But it sounds like it goes even farther beyond.
After Doctor Strange, when you watch all of the trailers and you get Guardians of the Galaxy without the color. That was when I first was like, oh my gosh, they are just going to do this over and over and over again. Oh my gosh.
Becky, look at her butt. It is so big.
So I don't know. We ready to talk about Thor? First Thor?
Yeah, there is. I got a couple interesting things about the first Thor that I when I was watching it that I saw and I was like, oh, okay. So I actually looked some things up real quick.
Well, one of the first things I want to talk about, just while we're on the subject, quick, transition from the Thor Ragnarok reviews. You can tell there is a clear difference between Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Yep.
There is a clear difference, and now Phase 3 is even. Should I say worse? There's. I don't know.
There's a slippery slope to what's happening.
Yes, well put. Very well put. So we'll get into it. We're just gonna talk about Thor, the first one that came out in 2011. I guess some brief statistics, real quick. It got a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes, if anyone cares. 7 out of 10 on IMDb and their ratings, and shit, I forgot the box office mojo.
449 million box office.
Oh, thank you.
With a $150 million budget.
You're prepared.
Yeah, sort of. This is Wikipedia, so who knows how accurate that actually really is. But one of the things that just first popped up to me, because there's a lot of weird things about Phase 1. If you really look at it, there's a lot of different things about Phase 1, and a lot of them is actually the studios that were distributing Phase 1. In the case of the Incredible Hulk and Iron Man, they were distributed by Universal Studios. Or Universal Pictures.
Right.
In that case. But Marvel Studios was still part of it. Kevin Feige was a producer and everything else.
Yeah, they were building the universe still.
One of the things I thought was really interesting when this was, when the credits were rolling in the beginning of Thor, it was distributed by Paramount Pictures. And I thought that was really fucking interesting. I'm like, well, shit, this is 2011. This is well after Disney acquired Marvel Studios. Well, I did a little bit of research. Once again, this is Wikipedia. So... take it with a grain of salt. It seems professional.
Man, good eye though. I did not even notice that. I just automatically assumed, all right, we're on to Disney owned. There was two that were.
Well, Marvel Studios was still running this, so it's still Kevin Feige, probably the people and everything. But the reason why it was distributed by Paramount was because the deal to distribute it through Paramount was made before Disney bought it. So the rights or the
Today, Junior?
The distribution rights was owned by Paramount at the time. And apparently Thor went through a whole different series of things. It went through different directors, bunch of development hell, as it was put. Sam Raimi apparently was going to direct it in Thor in 1991. There was a possibility.
Oh no, the MCU is going down. What are we going to do? We can't get a director for Thor. Sound familiar?
Marvel Studios signed a guy named Mark Prosekovich to develop the project in 2006 and planned to finance it and release it through Paramount Pictures. So this started in 2006.
Wow.
And that's when Paramount Pictures was going to become the distributor for Thor.
So they were probably shooting for like a 2008, 2009.
Well,
I would
that's when
it
first was getting developed. That's when you first do it. When the pre-production was going to start on it, they actually were having a plan for a 2010 release.
Okay.
And Matthew Vaughn was originally assigned to direct the film for a tentative 2010 release.
Wow.
However, after Vaughn was released from his holding deal in 2008, the guy that actually ultimately directed it, Barnath, was approached, and the film's release was rescheduled into 2011. The main characters were cast in 2009. Principal photography took place in California, New Mexico, from January to May of 2010. The film was converted to 3D in post-production. No one cares about that. But I thought that was really interesting.
That is. Wow, good catch.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how these movies first started out.
Yeah, the more that we've done some research on, obviously we reviewed Superman Lives, or The Death of Superman Lives, and then we just did Justice League Mortal. I'm finding more and more fascination with some of the shit that goes on before it even gets off the ground.
It's amazing how a movie's even made.
I know, seriously. And the other thing that blows me away is the amount of money that must get dumped into movies that is either just a giant waste of money that they have to recoup on the other end, or that they never recoup in like Superman Lives and Justice League Mortal.
Right.
So it blows me away.
And who else? And whatever other movies out there that pretty much flopped. Nothing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. There was a bunch of them on Warner Brothers side. So I guess just kind of jumping into Thor, as we said, it came out in 2011. I'm going to talk about some of my positives. I don't have a whole lot of notes, on either one of these, but I really like the cast. I like the cast in both of these movies. You have Anthony Hopkins. Soon as a movie starts out with Anthony Hopkins, doing a little bit of narration or whatever, voiceover stuff, it's going to be good. Like The Grinch. Jim Carrey, Matt's just giving me this straight face look. I like Chris Hemsworth.
You have the worst movie references, I swear.
That's the
Nuclear Man.
That's the fucking gimmick. Come on.
It's like
I'm just getting warmed up.
No one knows what you ever talk about.
Exactly. It's perfect. I have to get these weird, like, out of the box references. I was gonna bring up Mask of Zorro. Anthony Hopkins was in that.
And then they shot Batman. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
Get me on the Zorro.
So, but I you can't argue. Oh, maybe you can. I don't know. Chris Hemsworth. Tom Hiddleston as Loki and Thor. I feel like that they are perfect for those parts. Natalie Portman I really liked. A lot of the supporting cast. I actually really like Thor in the first movie. I like his arrogance. I like him kind of less experienced and just kind of being just almost like a cocky prick. He goes in and when they're at the very beginning and they're fighting all those frost giants or whatever they're called, and he's just fucking wielding his hammer around, and that's not an innuendo.
Thunder from down under.
The god of thunder from down under.
Shit.
Whoops. Spiking a little bit.
Spiking.
But I liked him. I liked him a lot. And then he unfortunately has to go through some growth and everything, and he's a little bit more annoying in the second one. But
we're gonna have I think this is gonna be interesting. I think.
Okay.
I'm gonna start this off. I'm gonna preface this this is probably one of the first times that I actually rewatched a movie, and my score went up from my initial remembering of the movie. I remember
the first Thor.
The first
Okay.
Thor. I remember hating the first Thor.
Really?
I thought it was a worthless, shitty movie, and I was wholeheartedly expecting to watch it, and that was going to come in with another probably 1 out of 5. Was originally what I was going to do before I rewatched
just in
it.
your mind.
Yeah, because I remember what I hated about it before, and I was just like, here we go again. It's another fucking shitty movie that I hated so much when I first saw it. And this is actually probably one of the first times that my score actually changed and went up. Not a lot, but it went
Not
back.
a lot from a 1?
Not a lot, but it
Wow.
it went up. And I was like, okay, I get it now. I kind of appreciated it a little bit more. But this is the thing that I had the problem with, and I still have a problem with.
Do you want to talk about any positives first?
Give me a
This
second.
is what you have a problem with?
Give me a second.
Okay, go ahead.
I have to establish this as a basis first. And I just remembered going into that movie, the one thing I hated the most about it was like the most cliche, fucking generic ass movie ever. And I still believe that it is just so generic. I started picturing Lion King fucking flashbacks.
For sure, yeah. And that's one of my negatives is that it is a very simple movie. There's nothing much to it.
I just can't wait to be a king. Dun, 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 dun.
Brother, help me. Yeah, it's I don't know.
And it even gets thrown off. You know, Loki gets thrown off. It's the wrong brother, but still.
Right.
He gets thrown down a thing.
Yeah, you get the point. But one of my things, I guess, just about both of these movies, I can kind of combine them in this comment, is I didn't find a whole lot that I just absolutely hated, that just bugged me, that kind of, stuck in my craw or whatever the hell the saying is. They are just not all that out. I don't, how do I put this? There's not a whole lot of thinking. There's not a whole lot of memorable moments where you're like, ooh, that was cool, or even or cool dialogue. There's just not it is a chore to stay engaged in watching these, in my opinion. And there's not a whole lot of movies that are like that, but sometimes you kind of find yourself drifting off a little bit, wondering what's on social media, and that's bad that a movie does that. And that's, if I had to give it both of these a blanket negative, that would be it. Is that I didn't have anything where I'm like, oh my gosh, that was stupid, or, well, actually I do have one thing with the first Thor, the bitch slap that kills him, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? That was it? And then all of a sudden
it's Lord Zed, man. What the fuck?
I know, it was.
He's got a mean pimp hand.
Lord Zed. That's so funny, because one of the ice guys kind of looked like Ivan Ooze a little bit, like the main ice guy. So that's perfect, Lord Zed.
At the beginning of the movie starts out with a battle between the Frost Giants and the Asgardians, and it's on the mortal world and stuff. And I just, why was it on the mortal world? Because they said they started attacking there. It's like, what was there that they wanted? It just seemed like they were trying to conquer different realms or something. I don't know. I will get into one of my positive was Tom Hiddleston's Loki. The mischief that he was doing throughout the movie, was pretty cool. I like that he let the Frost Giants in, just as a fun gag, just to fuck up Thor's whatever serenation or whatever the fuck it is, coronation,
right? His coronation, his big ceremony,
is like a combination of serenading and a coronation. It's a sleepy coronation,
exactly.
But I love that, and then even when he's talking to Thor, he's like, you can't do that. That would be going against the king's rule. And he's even he's playing him.
Oh,
right there.
yeah, for sure.
Just no, don't do it, and it's just
no, wait, come back.
Don't. Yeah. And you just tell he's fucking with him the whole time.
Yeah.
I did like that. I like how that was set up.
Loki is a great. Well, in the second one, he kind of annoyed me a little bit, but he is a great character overall.
I'm feeling Amazing Spider-Man coming here.
We're just gonna shit on it completely.
But I will actually say some of the humor in the first one actually kind of worked.
It did, yeah.
I put the Stan Lee cameo was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, it was.
When his whole truck in the back of the truck,
the whole fucking thing comes off.
Did I get it?
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty. Fucking
and
funny.
it wasn't over the top, and that's what I was talking about earlier. When there's a huge difference from Phase 1 to Phase 2. And in this one, I'm not going to talk too much about the second Thor yet, but in this one, the humor did work. I've felt some chuckling and everything, and it wasn't like too over the top. There wasn't too much of it, and I thought there was, if you're talking about like the CGI, I thought it was pretty cool. Some of the action scenes were pretty awesome. I do like that people bitch about the Smallville fight. I'm, of course, always bringing in the DC talk, but people bitch about the Smallville fight, but no one gives a shit about New Mexico, and it's getting wrecked.
But no one died, according to Civil War. I wasn't on that Civil War.
Oh, true,
counter.
True, yeah. So not a single person died when fucking Lord Zed is just terrorizing shit.
But
with
it was
his
brought up in
laser eyes.
Avengers as the reason why they were manipulating the Tesseract. Woo! But no one died.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
Like I said, the humor was, there was one part where he goes into the pet shop. He's like, I need a horse.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, we don't have horses.
Give me something I can ride.
What do you have? We have dogs and cats. Give me one big enough to ride.
Yeah, that's right.
So I thought that was pretty
good little chuckle moment.
She kept hitting him with the car.
Yeah.
And then she tases his ass. You
dare threaten me, Thor, with so puny
Yeah. I like the coffee thing where he like drinks the coffee. What is this? I like it. I'll have another one. And he breaks it, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell just happened?" And she's like, "You can ask nicely or say something nice." He's like, "I did," because that's how fucking Thor is. So there were some good chuckle moments.
Shield was involved. It made me appreciate Coulson a little bit more. I feel like he's needed back in the Avengers verse somehow, to be that kind of, I don't know, that glue. They killed him off in Avengers. He's back in the TV show. I don't know how.
I did not remember. This is obviously before Avengers comes out. I do not remember Hawkeye being in this, and he fucking shows up. I'm like, what the hell? I do not remember that at all. Like, but that obviously, again, not very memorable moments, because I was like, oh, what? That was a surprise.
I just remember not liking when he becomes mortal and he just getting taken out by everything, and then he has a couple. I don't know. I just found that to be incredibly boring. When we get into Thor 2, I will bring up something that I kind of noticed. I realized anyway. But when we get into the second one, I don't know. It just kind of slowed it down for me. And I get it. It's a redemption story. He needs to come back. And then just as he dies after the mega pimp slap, he fucking comes back and he's fighting.
And then it's another Disney movie. It's Beauty and the Beast,
The rose petal falls.
I just started singing Little Mermaid, I'm pretty sure, when she gets her voice back.
God damn it.
Whoops.
Same thing anyway. Who gives a shit? But it's just it was super cliche, and I just remember being so bored. It's like, I've seen this 100 times before.
Yeah. There's nothing special about it.
And the way they made Thor relatable, and I'll even talk about this for the Thor 2, but the way they made him relatable, I just thought was so boring. I don't give a shit if he's got a boner for this chick, Jane Foster. It just, what they did with Superman was so much more interesting. What they did in Man of Steel. Yeah, he has a little bit of a boner for Lois Lane, but still, there's a whole story being told. Mm-hmm. This is just a simple redemption story, like baseline redemption story, with him having a minor love story involved for the chicks. And then it just gets even more escalated in the second one. So
I thought I can't think of her name, but she's in Two Broke Girls on, if you've ever seen that sitcom. But I thought she was she had some good funny moments. Even no, not in the second one she didn't, but in the first one.
The second one she had a couple.
You think?
Yeah, there's a couple.
Okay. Well, I don't know. In this one, definitely, I thought there were some funny moments, especially because she's like fawning over Thor, and she's like, "Oh my gosh," and everything. So I thought it was cool. Quick
cameo list. Like you said, Hawkeye was in there. They make a Hulk reference talking about a doctor ran into S.H.I.E.L.D. with gamma radiation.
Right.
Disappeared.
Yep.
There's also a Donald Blake mention that was her old boyfriend, which, if I remember right, was either from the comics or an old TV show or both, where Thor used to be an old man with like a cane, and he'd tap the cane and he would transform into Thor.
Really?
Yeah. And his name was Donald Blake. I remember that vaguely. And then we have the end credit scene.
Oh, oops. I forgot to watch those.
Which actually I might have too, because I wrote end credits and never in blank. I was waiting for it and I don't know if I saw it.
I was just like, okay, finally made it to the end credits.
End credit scene. I put end credit scene part of Thor. But I remember what it was. It was the guy, the professor or whatever, the older dude. He's meeting up with Nick Fury to look at the Tesseract. It's a lead in into Avengers.
Okay.
So
cool.
All right, let's give our scores for this.
I'm gonna go 2.8.
Okay, I'm giving it a 2.
A 2.
Okay.
Whew.
A dose.
Yeah, I don't really think we need to summarize too much. It is. I agree. It is. It's a very generic storyline. I give it a little bit higher because there wasn't a lot that I was like, oh my gosh, I hate this movie. It's just it. As Austin would say, it was what it was. Just kind of middle of the road.
It is what it is.
Yeah, nothing too memorable. Nothing too crazy.
I thought the humor was subtle. It kind of shows this big difference between Phase 1 humor, if you look at Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, and this one. I think there's a big difference between the Phase 1 humor that's much more subtle and works compared to later on where we get just jokes and apparently hilarious Ragnarok.
Yeah, so. That's a great segue.